Manning's first 6 playoff games looked like this. But that's good and bad. And here's why I don't think this is the year Lamar gets over the hump. Peyton Manning never got over it.
I was going to say.
Peyton Manning, for his career in the playoffs, was a 500 player with an 87 rating compared to winning 70% of his games with a 97
and
rating.
The 2 Super Bowls.
Right. The year they won the Super Bowl, he had 3 touchdowns, 7 picks in the playoffs. He always got tight. Now, he was such a great regular season player that he got so many bites at the apple.
And he got to a lot.
And he got to 4. And, one year you have a great defense with Denver. One year you have an amazing running game and pretty good defense with the Colts. And it all works out. So
So do you think he never gets over it?
I don't think he's going to. The LeBron comp is an odd one because I said I don't really agree with it. But no, I don't think there's going to be like a inflection point like Game 6 against Boston for LeBron in 2012 when they're facing elimination. He goes 45, 15, and 5, and from that moment forward won 4 titles. I don't. I think Lamar. I also think one day he'll win a championship. And maybe
but
it will.
Not because of him. I mean, because.
Well, but the thing is this: when the Colts won in
all
06,
you got to do is win. Elway wasn't his Super Bowl stats aren't great. I get all that.
And so, when the Colts won in 06, they won that Super Bowl because of Peyton Manning, because they would have been nowhere close to being a Super Bowl team without him getting there in the regular season and making a few key postseason plays. But he still wasn't Peyton Manning in those playoffs. And so that's why the reason I get frustrated a bit is not with you guys, and I really do, I think, a pretty good job of not listening to or reading mentions or caring what the internet says about me. But the Lamar thing bothers me because it feels like people think I'm being unfair when I think they are assigning an indictment that I'm not. I don't think it is that rare for an all-time great player to get tight in the playoffs. Dan Marino did. Peyton Manning did. Peyton's brother, Eli, was actually the opposite.
Okay. You think you're being unfair? You rip Lamar Jackson every 5 seconds you can. That's why. In week 3, if Lamar Jackson has a big game and wins, you're like, so what? He can't do it against the Steelers, or he can't do it in the playoffs and this and that. Like, what do you mean? You show footage of New York Yankees players, right? Of Aaron Judge and be like, he can't do anything. Like, that's why people rip you in the mentions. And he just pretty much admitted that he doesn't, read it. So like that's why. I mean, you make claims saying that you think that Lamar Jackson will never step up in the playoffs. That's why people rip you, because where do you have this confidence from? And it's so funny when you want to talk about other quarterbacks, how they were able to win in the Super Bowl because of, because of good defense and good run game and this or that. But you never want to offer that to Patrick Mahomes. One, you're now saying that Patrick Mahomes is able to take advantage of a quarterback, of teams that aren't able to step up in the playoffs. So again, that seems like a pretty good thing for Patrick Mahomes. And not to mention, I've talked about this so much, look at Mahomes' stats in the actual Super Bowls. Has Patrick Mahomes stepped up in the Super Bowl? His first one that he won, he threw 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions with a 78.1 rating. 286 yards, a 61.9% completion percentage, going up against Jimmy Garoppolo. Then he went up against a real quarterback, Tom Brady. Oh, that's right, got rocked. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 52.3 rating. Wow. Oh, he had this most amazing game against the Philadelphia Eagles. He threw for 182 yards. 182 yards. Nick rips all the other quarterbacks when they have games like that, including Lamar Jackson, who he ripped and said, was that game against the Texans really that good? Was it really that good? Well, if it was good enough for Patrick Mahomes, then it would be good enough for Lamar. Like, what are we doing here? His rating in the Super Bowls is 85.2. He has 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions in 4 Super Bowls. His stats completely fall off in the Super Bowl relative to what he does in the regular season. Are you going to say that Patrick Mahomes plays tight? Or are you going to say, hey, he's been supported and helped by a great defense, by Travis Kelce, by Tyreek Hill, field goal kickers, Andy Reid, Spags? Are you prepared to do that? Because I don't think you are. Wasn't it a gift that Greenlaw got injured? Wasn't it a gift that the 49ers muffed the punt? Wasn't it a gift that Christian McCaffrey fumbled the ball? Wasn't it a gift that Brock Purdy was the quarterback? Wasn't it a gift that Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback? Wasn't it a gift that Jalen Hurts fumbled the ball being untouched and having the defense run it back for a touchdown? Yeah, I think so. So maybe if you were accurate about everything and talked about Patrick Mahomes being fortunate for his situation and other quarterbacks being fortunate for their situation, and not act like Patrick Mahomes just overcomes and plays special and does it all himself, and every other quarterback in the existence of the world has been carried or benefited from other situations. Maybe that's why people get so angry at the Lamar Jackson take. I mean, you got Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, who are going to be like Hall of Famers, who are literal all-time greats. I mean, it's argued that Travis Kelce is the greatest tight end ever. I'm pretty sure this is the first year that Lamar Jackson has had a Pro Bowl wide receiver. And again, say what we will about the coaching staff for the Ravens. It's not Andy Reid. It's not Spags. But Spags is an all-time great defensive coordinator, defensive mind. He shut down the Patriots, the undefeated Patriots, who had like 30-plus point games, like 50-point games, 40-point games. I mean, it's insane. Absolutely insanity. And he held them to 14 points in the Super Bowl. That's who Patrick Mahomes has had. But you don't want to acknowledge any of that. And you just want to rip Lamar Jackson. And you want to say with your chest out, Lamar Jackson will never step up in the playoffs. Like, that's what you're saying here. And you're shocked that people are angry about it? You're shocked that people are saying, well, that's not fair? Huh? Come on. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You don't think that, for any of these other quarterbacks, that their play callers, their head coaches, their defensive coordinators, their offensive coordinators, whatever the situation is, the other players around them, that those players didn't get tight, that those players didn't contribute to also holding these quarterbacks back? You don't think the Baltimore Ravens held Lamar Jackson back last season at all? At all? Really? The fact that the Baltimore Ravens are getting like 10, 11, 12 penalties? That's on Lamar Jackson now? Really? Fumbling, dropping passes? Did you see Travis Kelce step up when he made that insane diving catch against the Baltimore Ravens, bailing out Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Did anyone on the Baltimore Ravens do that for Lamar? I don't think so. I don't think so. That didn't happen. In fact, the literal opposite happened. You had Zay Flowers trying to make a play and fumbling. Just crazy. It is. It's crazy. Here's the Chiefs-Ravens box score. 24 carries. 24 carries. Really helping support that run game. Getting a touchdown. They had, look at this. Lamar Jackson had 8 carries. He had to do it himself. He had to be the leading rusher. The next one, Gus Edwards, 3 carries. Zay Flowers, 2 carries for whatever weird reason. And Hill, 3 carries. Wow. Who got more help there, huh? Who got more support there? That's right. We know that answer. 8 penalties for 95 yards. 8 penalties. That's on Lamar Jackson?
Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. 3 penalties for 30 yards. Three penalties for 30 yards. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. We just got to be consistent and honest about the discussions that we're having. And we just fail to do it. And then we want to cry foul. We're not being fair and consistent. We get called out for being not fair and consistent. And then we want to complain about being portrayed about not being fair and consistent. Huh? That made my head just hurt, man. I mean, think about all we've talked about this week. About Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Should the Baltimore Ravens be favored as much? Should we expect Lamar Jackson to be good? Should Lamar Jackson be the MVP? I mean, nothing is about how great Lamar Jackson has been. And again, because Nick's trying to be like, hey, it's okay that he doesn't play great in the playoffs. Like, it's okay that he's great during the regular season. Then why do you rip him every single week? Every time he plays a great game, you go, well, yeah, of course he played great. It's the regular season. He can't do it in the playoffs. Like, huh? And again, Nick knows that he antagonizes fan bases. He admits it. He says it with his chest out. That's why he does the things that he does. And then he wants to cry foul that people call him out or that people get mad. That's like saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep poking you and poking you and poking you. And then be like, why are you screaming at me? Why are you yelling at me to stop poking you? I don't understand. Like, what? You can't have it both ways. You can't try to get sympathy and act like you're being portrayed wrongly by fans. You can't do that if you're the one that's constantly poking them. You either got to accept that that's your brand that you've created or not. I think I'm very fair. I may not be 100% perfect. I make mistakes all the time. I mess up takes. I can have the wrong view all the time. But I try my best to be as fair and consistent as I am. So if I make a Lamar Jackson video where I'm just like, Lamar Jackson didn't play good, and then people come at me and say, oh, you're such a hater, you're biased, I push back because I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Go to my channel and search Baltimore Ravens, and you'll see like 100 videos of me defending and praising. I make one video where I say, Lamar Jackson did not play good, he has to step up, etc., etc. I'm a hater. Like, I can give that pushback because I'm like, what, are you serious? People are like, oh yeah, bring that same energy for Josh Allen. I did. Bring that same energy for, Jalen Hurts. I did. Bring that same energy for Patrick Mahomes. I did. When I talk about Patrick Mahomes and the gifts he had, you say, oh, you're so biased against Patrick Mahomes. I make the same take for Tom Brady. So like make it make sense then. Like what world am I trying to create? What am I trying to manipulate? You might not always get it right. But when you serve the truth and you serve reality, you get a lot closer to it. But you can't all season poke and poke and poke and poke. And then just be like, I can't believe that they're yelling at me. And it gets me so mad because it's not fair. Really? Really? You have a clip, you have a segment where you say, oh, let's look at highlights of Lamar Jackson. And instead you show Yankees clips. Oh, never mind. That's another player who chokes in the playoffs. I don't understand. Why are you guys getting so mad at me? What? Make no sense. Ants in your pants. I'm like, that's what it says at the bottom. Ants in your pants. Every 5 seconds, you want to show that graphic of Lamar Jackson against the Steelers, the Chiefs, and, in the playoffs. And use it as a reference point as to why Lamar Jackson is not great. Well, then name the great quarterback that Patrick Mahomes has beaten when it mattered. Name him. Name him. Name him. Name him. Don't say Joe Burrow.
and the Bengals. Not that poverty franchise. Not that poorly run franchise. Not that cheap ownership. Not Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Not Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Not Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. Not Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Not Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Who has Patrick Mahomes beaten then? Please tell me. Not Tom Brady. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about this continued conversation about Lamar Jackson being unable to play in big moments? And that, according to Nick Wright, will never happen. He will never get over it. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.